The morning on Nova Horizon began like any other. Soft amber light filtered through the biodome's translucent walls, casting a warm glow across Dr. Aria Chen's Botanical Research Center. Rows of meticulously engineered plants stretched before her, each one a testament to human ingenuity and the dream of transforming an alien world into a second home. Aria adjusted the nutrient flow on a particularly stubborn strain of genetically modified wheat. These plants were more than just crops. They were living proof of humanity's ability to adapt and thrive in the most challenging environments. Outside the biodome, Nova Horizon's landscape told a story of gradual transformation. Rocky terrain slowly giving way to patches of green, a canvas painted by human determination. Her communication implant chirped softly. "Dr. Chen, initial terraform reports are coming in," announced the center's eye assistant. "Soil toxicity levels have dropped another 0.03% this quarter." She allowed herself a small smile. Years of work were paying off, one microscopic improvement at a time. The first sign something was wrong came as a barely perceptible vibration. Most would have missed it, but Aria's years of scientific training made her pause. The plants around her seemed to tremble, their carefully calibrated environmental systems detecting something beyond normal parameters. Alarms erupted seconds later. Unidentified spacecraft detected in high orbit blared the colony's emergency systems. "All personnel, proceed to designated safety zones immediately." Aria's mind raced. They were hundreds of light years from known alien territories. First contact protocols were clear, but this felt different. The vibrations intensified, growing from a gentle tremor to a violent shaking that knocked delicate equipment from shelves. Through the biodome's observation windows, she watched in horror as massive alien vessels materialized in the sky. Their design was unlike anything in human records, sharp angular shapes that seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. They moved with a predatory grace that suggested intelligence far beyond simple technological superiority. The first weapons discharge came without warning. Precision-targeted energy beams sliced through Nova Horizon's orbital defense network like it was constructed from glass. Defensive systems, carefully maintained and believed to be state-of-the-art, collapsed in moments. "This is not a negotiation," came a cold, translated transmission across all communication channels. "This system is now claimed by the Geril hegemony." Aria watched in shock as the first fusion bombs began to fall. Entire city sectors disappeared in blinding flashes of light. The biodome's protective systems activated, but she knew it was futile. This was no random attack. This was systematic elimination. In those moments, as her life's work crumbled around her, Dr. Aria Chen understood something profound. This was more than an attack on a colony. This was a declaration of war against everything humanity represented, its hope, its potential, its unyielding spirit of exploration. The last thing she saw before the emergency shutters closed was the wheat plants, still standing, still growing, a silent testament to human resilience in the face of absolute destruction. The emergency command center hummed with a tension that bordered on electrical. Admiral Elena Rodriguez stood before a holographic display that painted a grim picture of human-controlled space. Each blue dot represented a colony, a dream, a potential target. Her fingers traced the fragile network of human settlements, knowing that what had happened to Nova Horizon could repeat at any moment. 63 minutes of total communication blackout, reported Commander David Kimura, his voice tight with barely contained anxiety. Satellite reconnaissance is showing complete devastation. Estimated civilian casualties are approaching 3 million. Elena's prosthetic left hand, a reminder of her own previous encounters with spatial conflicts, clenched involuntarily. The screen flickered, bringing up detailed scans of the alien vessels that had decimated Nova Horizon. Their technological signature was unlike anything in human records. Quantum entanglement readings suggested capabilities that defied current scientific understanding. "We're not dealing with a random attack," she announced to the assembled team of military strategists, intelligence experts, and scientific advisors. "This is a calculated invasion with a clear objective." Dr. Samira Okoye, Chief Xenotechnology Analyst, stepped forward. Her holographic display showed complex mathematical models depicting the alien ship's energy signatures. "These aren't just advanced weapons," she explained. "They represent a complete paradigm shift in spacefaring technology. Their energy manipulation suggests capabilities we've only theorized about." The room fell silent. Each person understood the implications. This wasn't just a military threat. It was a challenge to humanity's very understanding of technological possibility. "We need more than a defensive strategy," Elena continued. "We need a complete reimagining of our approach to space defense and exploration." Across the complex, specialized teams began mobilizing. In quantum physics laboratories, researchers who had spent decades working on theoretical concepts now found themselves at the forefront of an existential challenge. Communication networks lit up as the best minds from every human-controlled world began sharing data, analyzing the fragments of information about the alien attack. Dr. Marcus Chen, no relation to Area, but equally brilliant, pulled up the last transmission data from Nova Horizon. "Look at the precision of their attack," he said, highlighting specific targeting patterns. "This isn't random destruction. Every strike was calculated to maximize psychological impact while minimizing resource waste." The implications were chilling. This wasn't just a military force. It was a civilization that approached conflict with a cold, almost mathematical precision. "We're building a comprehensive response," Elena announced, her voice cutting through the growing tension. "Every resource, every piece of scientific knowledge we have will be focused on understanding and countering this threat." Outside the command center, the first waves of volunteers began signing up for experimental defense programs. Young scientists, retired military personnel, engineers, everyone understood that this was more than a typical conflict. This was a moment that would define human potential. Dr. Okoye looked up from her calculations, a spark of something between fear and excitement in her eyes. "We're about to enter a new era of human innovation," she said softly. "Whatever comes next, we won't be the same civilization we were yesterday." The command center continued its relentless work, a beacon of human determination in the face of an unknown and terrifying threat. The research facility beneath New Tokyo pulsed with an energy that defied conventional understanding. Dr. Rakesh Sharma stood before a holographic display, his fingers dancing across quantum field projections that seemed to bend the very fabric of physical possibility. "We're not just improving existing technology," he muttered to his assistant, Dr. Elena Rodriguez, a brilliant young physicist who happened to be the niece of the naval commander. "We're rewriting the fundamental laws of energy interaction." The facility had been transformed overnight. What was once a theoretical research center now operated with the intensity of a wartime production line. Scientists from every discipline worked in interconnected teams, their individual brilliance now focused into a single, razor-sharp purpose. Dr. Sharma's latest breakthrough centered on quantum entanglement communication systems. Traditional faster-than-light communication had always been limited by signal degradation and massive energy requirements. But the new system he was developing could potentially transmit information instantaneously across vast distances, with minimal energy expenditure. Nearby, materials engineers worked on something equally revolutionary. Dr. Hiroshi Tanaka manipulated molecular structures of a new nanocomposite material that could reconfigure itself in milliseconds. What appeared solid could become fluid, what seemed fragile could become impenetrable, all based on immediate environmental conditions. "Look at this," Tanaka called out, projecting a molecular simulation. A small section of the material shifted from a rigid crystal structure to a flexible mesh, then to a near-liquid state. Traditional armor is static. This adapts. It learns. The implications were staggering. Spacecraft could potentially repair themselves mid-battle. Defensive systems could become dynamic, unpredictable. The very concept of technological vulnerability was being dismantled. In another section of the facility, a team of quantum computing experts worked on adaptive AI systems. These weren't just advanced algorithms. They were learning matrices that could process information and make strategic decisions faster than any human mind. Dr. Rodriguez noticed something extraordinary happening with their quantum communication prototype. The entanglement stability is increasing exponentially. She called out, her voice a mix of excitement and disbelief. We're achieving coherence at levels that should be mathematically impossible. Dr. Sharma approached, studying the readings. Not impossible, he corrected her. Just never attempted before. Necessity is rewriting our understanding of what's possible. Outside the facility, the world was changing. Every research institution, every technological center had been redirected. Universities suspended normal operations. Corporate research divisions were conscripted into the global scientific effort. It was as if humanity had become a single, massive computational network, each mind a processor, each insight a potential weapon. We're not just developing technology to fight a war, Dr. Tanaka said during a rare moment of collective reflection. We're evolving. This is more than a defensive effort. This is a transformation of human potential. As night fell over New Tokyo, the research facility continued its relentless work. Holographic displays flickered, quantum fields danced, and the future of human civilization was being rewritten. One impossible breakthrough at a time. The Global Recruitment Center in Sao Paulo buzzed with unprecedented energy. Carlos Mendes, a former agricultural engineer, stood among hundreds of volunteers waiting to be processed. His hands, once used to cultivate crops, now trembled with anticipation of a different kind of cultivation, the defense of human civilization. Next, call the recruitment officer, her augmented reality display scanning each potential candidate's skills, physical capabilities, and psychological profile. The screening process was unlike anything in human history. Every skill, every talent had potential value in the coming conflict. Nearby, retired naval veterans mentored young recruits who had never seen combat. Captain Mariko Sato, a 65-year-old veteran of previous space conflicts, demonstrated holographic combat simulations. Technology changes, she told a group of wide-eyed 20-year-olds, but human adaptability remains our greatest weapon. In orbit, shipyards worked with inhuman efficiency. Automated production lines that once took months to complete a single spacecraft now produced fully equipped vessels in days. Each ship was a marvel of the new technological breakthroughs. Adaptive nano-armor, quantum communication systems, and AI interfaces that could make split-second tactical decisions. The world's economy had transformed overnight. Major industries redirected entirely towards the war effort. Automotive factories became spacecraft production centers. Consumer electronics plants now manufactured advanced sensor systems. Every resource, every ounce of human potential was being channeled into a single unified purpose. Universities suspended traditional education. Instead, accelerated training programs emerged. Engineering students became spacecraft designers. Medical researchers developed advanced survival technologies. Computer scientists created adaptive combat algorithms. The entire educational system had become a massive coordinated training ground. In the recruitment center, Carlos completed his initial assessment. His background in agricultural engineering proved unexpectedly valuable. Resource management, ecological systems, supply chain optimization, skills once used to grow food would now help sustain humanity's greatest military effort. You'll be assigned to logistics and resource allocation, the recruitment officer explained, her augmented display highlighting his optimal placement. We need minds that can optimize survival as much as we need combat pilots. Around the world, similar scenes played out. In Beijing, quantum physicists worked alongside military strategists. In Mumbai, medical researchers developed advanced survival technologies. In Moscow, retired engineers came out of retirement to support the technological effort. A global communication network allowed unprecedented coordination. What would have once taken months of bureaucratic negotiations now happened in minutes. Artificial intelligence systems helped streamline communication, identifying the most efficient ways to share information and resources. Captain Sato watched the new recruits with a mixture of pride and hope. "We're not just preparing for a war," she told her young trainees. "We're defining the future of human civilization. Every person here represents hope, the hope that we will not just survive, but thrive." As night fell across Sao Paulo, the recruitment center continued its work. Outside, the city's skyline was filled with construction of new defense infrastructure. Spacecraft preparation facilities rose where shopping centers once stood. Every building, every street, every citizen was now part of something larger than themselves. Humanity was no longer just responding to a threat. It was transforming. The underground intelligence hub beneath the Andean mountains looked nothing like traditional military command centers. Holographic displays danced with intricate data patterns, while analysts from every human territory worked in seamless synchronization. Director Aisha Kamil studied the latest intelligence reports, her fingers tracing the complex network of alien communication patterns. Each data point represented months of painstaking research, intercepted signals, and quantum decryption efforts. "We're dealing with more than a military civilization," she explained to her core team of strategic analysts. "The Jaril hegemony operates like a single, massive organism. Their communication networks suggest a level of collective intelligence we've never encountered." Dr. Miguel Rodriguez, a xenolinguistics expert, manipulated a holographic representation of alien communication patterns. "Their language isn't just a method of communication," he noted. "It's a complex system of strategic information transfer. Each communication event carries multiple layers of meaning." The team had been working to decode more than just words. They were attempting to understand the fundamental thought processes of an alien civilization that viewed conflict as a form of mathematical precision. Nearby, quantum cryptographers worked on breaking increasingly complex alien communication encryption. What had seemed impossible months ago now became routine. Each breakthrough revealed another layer of the alien civilization's strategic thinking. "Look at this," called out Alina Zhao, a young intelligence analyst. Her display showed a complex map of alien territorial expansion. "Their colonization isn't random. There's a mathematical precision to their expansion that suggests a form of predictive modeling we've never seen." The implications were profound. The Jaril weren't just conquering territories. They were executing a long-term strategic plan that spanned centuries. Each colony, each military outpost was part of a larger, almost organic expansion strategy. Director Kamil understood the deeper challenge. "We're not just preparing for a military conflict," she told her team. "We're preparing to outthink an entire civilization that approaches existence as a complex mathematical problem." Intelligence gathering became an art form of unprecedented complexity. Quantum communication intercepts, AI-powered predictive modeling, and human intuition worked in concert. Every piece of information was a potential weapon, every analyzed data point a strategic advantage. The team developed increasingly sophisticated predictive models. They weren't just analyzing past alien behaviors. They were attempting to forecast future actions with unprecedented accuracy. Artificial intelligence systems processed billions of data points, looking for patterns the human minds might miss. "Our greatest advantage is our ability to adapt," Dr. Rodriguez noted during a strategy briefing. "The Jaril operate on predetermined patterns. We can break those patterns." As night fell over the Andean intelligence hub, the work continued. Holographic displays flickered, quantum computers hummed, and a new form of strategic thinking took shape. Humanity was learning to see the universe not just as a physical space to be conquered, but as a complex system to be understood and navigated. The shadows of strategy were taking shape, and humanity was preparing to rewrite the rules of galactic conflict. The moment of deployment arrived with a silence that belied its magnitude. 700,000 ships hung in the predetermined formation, each vessel a testament to human engineering and adaptive technology. Admiral Alina Rodriguez stood on the bridge of the flagship Horizon's Edge, her prosthetic hand resting lightly on the quantum interface. Around her, the ship's AI systems hummed with a level of anticipation that bordered on sentience. Every system was connected, every algorithm primed for the most complex military maneuver in human history. Quantum synchronization complete, reported Commander David Kimura. The ship's communication network had become something more than a simple transmission system. It was a living, breathing nervous system that connected every vessel in the fleet. The alien territories appeared on the holographic display, a network of star systems that seemed impenetrable. Traditional military doctrine would have suggested a frontal assault or a targeted strike. But humanity had learned that survival meant thinking beyond conventional strategies. "Initiate quantum cascade," Elena commanded. What followed defied every known principle of space warfare. The human fleet didn't move as individual ships, but as a single adaptive organism. Quantum communication systems allowed instantaneous tactical adjustments. Ships could change formation, redirect energy, and modify defensive parameters faster than any biological reaction. The first wave of alien defensive systems never stood a chance. Where they expected a traditional assault, they encountered a fluid, almost living military formation. Ships that seemed to be retreating would suddenly become impenetrable defensive walls. Vessels that appeared vulnerable would transform into devastating offensive platforms in milliseconds. Dr. Rakesh Sharma's quantum entanglement communication system proved to be the ultimate weapon. Information traveled faster than light, allowing the human fleet to respond to alien tactical movements before those movements were even completed. "They're trying to predict our pattern," Kimura observed, watching the alien defensive systems attempt to analyze the human fleet's movements. "But we don't have a pattern." Indeed, the human fleet moved with an unpredictability that seemed to defy mathematics. Each ship was both an individual unit and part of a collective intelligence. Adaptive AI systems made tactical decisions faster than any centralized command could process. One by one, alien defensive platforms began to collapse, not through brute force, but through a form of strategic innovation that the Geril had never encountered. The human fleet wasn't just attacking. It was learning, adapting, transforming with each passing moment. "Quantum cascade at 87% effectiveness," reported the ship's eye. The words seemed almost excited. On the bridge, Elena Rodriguez allowed herself the smallest of smiles. This wasn't just a military assault. This was a fundamental reimagining of conflict itself. As the first wave of alien defenses crumbled, something became abundantly clear. Humanity had entered the conflict not as a desperate species fighting for survival, but as a civilization on the verge of a profound transformation. The first strike was more than a military victory. It was a statement about the nature of human potential. The conflict had evolved beyond anything in recorded galactic history. Captain Maya Chen piloted her adaptive combat vessel through a region of space that seemed to bend and shift with each passing moment. Her ship was no longer just a machine. It was an extension of a collective human consciousness. "Quantum resonance at maximum," her AI companion reported. The voice was neither fully mechanical nor entirely human, a perfect representation of the technological fusion that defined this war. Across multiple star systems, human forces were rewriting the fundamental understanding of warfare. Each engagement was a complex dance of adaptive strategies, where traditional concepts of offense and defense became meaningless. Ships transformed mid-battle. Communication networks anticipated enemy movements before they could be conceived, and individual units operated with a collective intelligence that defied previous understanding. Dr. Samira Okoye watched from the Strategic Command Center, her hands moving across holographic displays that tracked the conflict's multidimensional complexity. "We're not just fighting," she muttered to herself. "We're evolving." The Geril hegemony found itself confronting an enemy that refused to be understood. Every tactical model, every predictive algorithm they had developed over centuries collapsed in the face of human unpredictability. Where the alien civilization expected rigid structures, they encountered fluid adaptation. Captain Chen's vessel encountered a cluster of advanced alien defensive platforms. In milliseconds, her ship's adaptive systems analyzed the defensive configuration. Quantum communication networks shared instantaneous insights across the entire human fleet, What would have once been a complex, hours-long strategic planning session now happened in fractions of a second. The ship's hull began to shift. Nano-composite materials reconfigured themselves, creating complex defensive patterns that absorbed and redirected alien weapon systems. Energy signatures danced across the vessel's surface, a living camouflage that made the ship almost impossible to target. Tactical fusion complete, the AI companion announced. The ship was no longer just a weapon. It was a living, thinking entity. Across the conflict zone, similar transformations were happening. Human pilots became something more than individual operators. They were nodes in a vast, living network of collective intelligence. Each battle was a moment of collective learning, of immediate adaptation. Dr. Rodriguez, monitoring the conflict from the research facility, watched in awe. "We're witnessing the next stage of human evolution," she told her team. "This is more than a war. This is a fundamental transformation of what it means to be a collective intelligence." The alien defensive systems began to show signs of fundamental breakdown. They were encountering an enemy that didn't just fight, an enemy that learned, adapted, and transformed with each passing moment. Traditional concepts of warfare became obsolete. Captain Chen's vessel passed through the alien defensive line, leaving behind a trail of reconfigured space that seemed to defy the laws of physics. The ship wasn't just moving through space, it was rewriting the very fabric of spatial understanding. As another wave of alien defensive platforms collapsed, something became clear. Humanity was no longer just fighting for survival. They were giving birth to an entirely new way of existing in the universe. The silence that followed the final battle was more profound than any sound Dr. Aria Chen had ever experienced. Standing on the observation deck of the rebuilding station, she watched as the last fragments of the Geril hegemony's infrastructure dissolved into cosmic dust. Humanity had done more than win a war. They had fundamentally transformed themselves. Admiral Elena Rodriguez approached, her prosthetic hand reflecting the starlight. "We're not the same civilization that was attacked," she said softly. It wasn't a boast. It was a simple statement of fact. The cost had been tremendous. Millions of lives lost. Entire colonies reduced to memory. But something extraordinary had emerged from the crucible of conflict. The technologies developed during the war had rewritten the fundamental understanding of human potential. Quantum communication systems that once seemed like impossible theoretical concepts now formed the backbone of human spatial infrastructure. The adaptive technologies developed for warfare were now being repurposed for exploration, colonization, and scientific discovery. "We've been given a choice," Dr. Rakesh Sharma told a gathering of scientific and military leaders. "We can either retreat into ourselves or use what we've learned to expand our understanding of the universe." The transformation was visible everywhere. Cities rebuilt themselves using adaptive architectures learned from warship technologies. Educational systems had been completely restructured, emphasizing collective intelligence and rapid adaptation. Every aspect of human civilization had been fundamentally altered. The survivors of Nova Horizon, those who had lost everything in the initial attack, played a crucial role in the rebuilding. Dr. Aria Chen found herself leading a team that was transforming the very concept of planetary colonization. The pain of loss had been transformed into an unprecedented drive for exploration and understanding. "We're not just recovering," Aria explained during a global broadcast. "We're reimagining what it means to be a spacefaring civilization." Diplomatic teams began to emerge, not to conquer, but to understand. The technologies developed during the conflict provided unprecedented capabilities for communication and cultural exchange. Humanity had learned that true strength came from adaptation, not domination. Dr. Samira Okoye presented a comprehensive report on the technological advancements. What began as a defensive effort, she noted, has opened up possibilities we couldn't have imagined before the conflict. Quantum computing had evolved beyond simple calculation. The collective intelligence developed during the war had created a new form of computational thinking. Ships, cities, entire planetary systems could now think and adapt in ways that blurred the line between technology and consciousness. Admiral Rodriguez looked out at the stars. The fleet that had once been a defensive force was now becoming something else entirely, a network of exploration, of understanding, of continuous adaptation. "We're not just survivors," she said to Arya. "We're pioneers of a new way of existing." As the first post-war exploration vessels prepared for launch, something became clear. The attack that was meant to destroy humanity had instead provided the catalyst for its most profound transformation. The universe would never be the same, and neither would humanity.